Greetings, world. We are Journals Out Loud. I am your lovely and captivating host, Louise Palanker, here with a panel of wise and wonderful young people. We're here to talk about all the things that matter in your life.
I've been out there wandering.
Jam to it. And it's election day. So it's very exciting. I have a sticker on my hat, but my hat just doesn't work with this outfit that includes the headphones. We've got some stickers in the room. If you're interested in seeing an I voted sticker, we can display one. Oh, Jilly?
I have one.
Jilly has her sticker. And did you vote today?
I did.
And how'd that go?
Well, I filled out my ballot and had my dad drop it off.
There you go.
Technically, yes, but because I didn't want to, if the lines were too long, I needed to make sure. I needed to make sure that it got in.
You did it. You got it done.
Yeah.
Jabbar, you voted?
Yes, my first time ever voting, and it was liberating. And yeah.
Did you get any candy, a sticker, any prizes?
I got my sticker, but I feel like it fell off when I was driving.
That's all right.
And I'm angry about that.
But I like your shirt.
I like your
Thank
shirt.
you.
You're wearing
Thank
your
you.
Obama shirt.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of stares from this today. But
Good stares,
yeah,
right?
I guess.
Just because, you're even more super handsome than President Obama. They're, comparing and contrasting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else vote? Any other voters in the house? Matt voted?
No,
Did you vote today, Matt?
I voted by mail.
Well done. Get it done.
Makes it easy.
I voted at the firehouse, and I was hiking up the hill to get to the firehouse because I like to walk to my polling place, and I passed a lady, and I told her I was on my way to vote, and she said, "I hope your candidate wins," and I said, "Oh, she will," and she left. We shared a moment, the neighbor lady and I. So let's dive into questions and get some more good stuff done for America and for the world. Vedavit, would you read the first question, please?
Yeah, sure. My girlfriend talks about her ex a lot, and it gets annoying. She compares us and she says things that kind of upset me. She said that she wants to be with me and that I don't have to worry about her ex, but it's hard to believe that when she will hang up on me to answer the phone to them. What should I do?
All right, so this poses the question, how much talk about the ex or talk with the ex should be tolerated within a new relationship? Jilly?
I don't think a whole lot. I think that if you're with somebody that you care about, that the exes shouldn't really be relevant. I think that it could come up in conversation, but I think that overall, if they're still really talking and that's a prominent relationship, I don't know how comfortable I would feel about that.
I say with any relationship, communication is key. If you feel some type of way towards this, you need to sit her down and say, hey, I don't like that you're talking to your ex because it doesn't sit well with me. And if you guys are really in a strong relationship, then communication should be the number one priority in a relationship. And if she's willing to change that or make you feel better or comfortable in a relationship, then go ahead. Communication,
yes.
From my experience, or my friend's experience at least, a lot of times that's just not a good thing, because a lot of times when they keep still talking about their ex, it means they're kind of a little bit hung up on it, and it's never really ended
Closer
up
to
well.
the mic.
It's never really ended up well from what my friends say. They always saying how their girlfriend's talking about their exes, but then at the end of it, they just end up breaking up because that just becomes a huge issue at the end, because they still have a part of them that's still obsessed with it. So I would say you should talk to your girlfriend about this and resolve this.
Anyone else?
I mean, if she's talking about him a lot, then it definitely is a problem, because we tend to talk a lot about what we're thinking about. And you said that she would hang up on you to answer the phone call, and that is a quite serious issue, right? Would you be okay with it?
No, definitely not.
For me, that's a deal breaker. That's enough.
Hanging up the phone? No, you can't hang up the phone.
Right.
On
to
me,
answer
your
ex's
current boyfriend, to him.
To answer your ex, yeah, I know.
I mean, not only it's the ex. If if we're together with a person, then probably I would never hang up on a person who's really important to me.
Yeah, unless it's your mother and
exactly.
she fell through the roof. It's my mom just fell through the roof, so I really need to go. That's about it. Or my dog is on fire. That would be another reason to hang up the phone. But yeah, this is the person that's supposed to be the priority in your life, right? And so I know that you're afraid of rocking the boat to say something and to say I need for this to change. Almost it feels like an ultimatum. But, we all set the boundaries for what's acceptable and what we will tolerate in terms of our interactions with the people who matter. So it's okay to say this, here's where my bar is. You need to be higher than this bar in terms of me being a priority. And if I'm not, then I need to walk away from the situation, because you feel like, oh, I don't want to risk losing him, but you don't currently have him based on what we're seeing. And that's just something that you have to reckon with and feel the heartbreak in that. And then you'll be ready to when you're ready to walk away is sometimes when you get exactly what you want.
Oh yeah.
And
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about losing her or something like that. It's not really worth the relationship if she's not completely committed to you. If she still has thoughts for another person while she's with you, that's definitely not right, and you're just kind of being played right now. That's
Yeah, and the other thing is it just feels like she wasn't ready for her next relationship.
Yeah.
She probably rushed right into it.
Yeah.
And now she just was like, I need something to cope with this. Some people are hopeless romantics, and they just always need to be loved and feel loved. And
You're
maybe
no
she
one's
did that.
methadone. Come on.
Yeah.
In the words of the great Barack Obama.
Yes.
Come on now. Jilly, would you read the question from Pink
Sure,
and
can I
Blue
borrow this?
24?
Thank you. Okay. So this guy has invited me over to this party, and he said to sleep over, and my mom won't let me sleep over. I was going to say we are sleeping in a tent, but do you have any other excuses that will work?
How is a tent any less treacherous
That sounds worse.
than sleeping bags in a living room? I don't understand how a tent would make a parent go, well, then, okay.
If it's a tent.
Because sex never happens in tents, and I've never heard it on record of any incidences. See, this is a teenage mind at work where there's some sort of logic that I'm not oh, well, camping makes it safe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Jamar.
this is, I don't know how old she is, but this, you couldn't have, if I was your parent, you're not going to this party. Guys are going to be guys, and girls, you are vulnerable, and, no, you're not going to this party. Sorry, I don't have any suggestions.
Wow, Dad.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say a fact that a couple years earlier, I saw a movie when the lead girl and the lead man actually got pregnant. I mean, the lead girl got pregnant in a tent.
In a tent.
And they had to,
Sperm will still travel within a tent.
right. They were like 19 years old. They're having this baby. And the girl's father sued this boy for raping. They have to deal with all of the situations.
That turned sad really quickly.
Yeah, well.
It was a rom-com, and then...
It's not sad.
Not to be like the kind of dad here, but I mean, definitely, there's no reason to sleep over at the guy's place. I mean, I guess if you want to party, then maybe party. Make sure your friends are with you, stuff like that, and make sure you're not doing anything illegal, like maybe say drinking or smoking. And just try to have a good time, but don't sleep over. There's no need to sleep over.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you know that your mom is not going to be okay with it, why push the boundaries of that? You're already getting to a party, that's kind of nice. And if you know that it's not okay, don't start lying now, because then you're just going to go down a slippery slope. Don't push the boundaries of trust and, with your parents is not a good.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the situation kind of need a little bit clarification. Is it just you and this boy that are going to sleep, or that a bunch of friends are sleeping over? If it's just a bunch of friends sleeping over, hanging out together for the night, then it might be okay. If you tell your parents that it's not just me and him, it's a lot of my friends, the whole class, half of the class, it might be fine.
And I think that dads know, or parents know, they did exactly what you did and want to do at this age. So it's nothing you really can say to convince them to be like, oh, my daughter is much smarter than what I was. She's still a teenager. You're going to do things still,
Yeah, and it also feels like one of those situations where every kid feels like every other kid's parents are signing up for this, when really all the other parents are freaking out too. So just because you're the first one who says I'm not allowed to do it or I can't do it doesn't mean that everyone else isn't going to be coming down on that same exact page, because depending upon your age, if you guys aren't 18, then there's really not very many parents that are totally comfortable with co-ed sleepovers.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a thing.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people feel like when other teenagers get to do stuff that their parents don't allow them to do, they feel like their parents are allowing them to do it, but they're not. They're also kind of breaking the rules.
Yeah.
And so it's not like your parents not the only one that's strict. It's generally they're all like kind of strict and they're breaking the rules and you're just trying to follow with them. So be careful of that. Do realize that not everyone's parents are chill here and that what you're doing is just normal. Sometimes there's a good reason why they tell you not to, just to be careful. And
Yes, and all humans on Earth have to face the same dangers. So nobody's immune from something going horribly wrong, if a given situation is allowed to continue, unsupervised. So your parents love you, and that would be the main reason why you wouldn't be able to sleep over. But like as Jilly said, go to the party, have fun.
yes.
Jabbar, would you read the next question, please?
Sure. I feel like I'm so alone in this world right now. I'm 15 and I've never had a boyfriend, never been kissed. I've never even hugged a boy. It's so awkward because I feel like I'm the only one. Any advice on how to stay focused on my life goals and not to worry about boys and crap like that?
Jilly?
I mean, you're so not alone at all. I have friends who are 18 who have never done any of the. I mean, they've probably hugged a boy. You've probably hugged a boy. I think that you're just overreacting from this question. But I think I have tons of friends who aren't there yet. And I think it's important to remember that the whole like relationship boy thing is only one part of your life. Like you have all these other things going on and it's one part. And sometimes it can feel like you're the only one who doesn't have a boyfriend or isn't a part of that. But I think you're just like your track of like relationships is just like not like a little bit different than everybody else's. Jabbar.
And like even with me, I didn't have a girlfriend until I was 18 years old. And I didn't do anything in high school. I was just chill. And 15 years old, I mean, I had friends who were all over the place and I felt the same way. But then I realized what I wanted to do with my life. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life when I was small. That was like a big thing for me. I was like, I know I'm going to go to California. I know I'm going to be on TV one day. And that was something that I learned early in my life. So the girl situation wasn't a real big topic of like, it was cool. Like, oh, I want to hook up with this girl or anything. But it wasn't something that, I don't know, was prominent in my life.
Yeah. So you just focus on other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you focus on goals and you recognize like romance is not going anywhere, it will be there when I'm ready for it.
I'd say it's okay if you're thinking about boys all the time at your age. 15, I think loneliness is the biggest topic that everybody has to deal with, and that we are as human, we just have this mode of thinking that coupling, being together with one significant other, is like the ultimate cure of our loneliness, which sometimes I think that if early in the life stage a person needs to learn how to accept loneliness and learn through loneliness and know what loneliness is and what kind of treasure you can discover in loneliness, then it's, it opens up your eyes and then give you more perspective in life. I think that part of the loneliness comes from the yearning and the imagination about romance. I think that it's all an experience, whatever that you're going through. I would say just don't judge yourself. Whatever that you desire, whatever that you think a lot of, that's part of you, and that's part of what's going on in your mind.
And let me say also that there's a lot to be said for delaying gratification, because the longer you long for something, the more you appreciate it once you have it, and the less likely you are to slam the door and walk off into the night if somebody disappoints you in any given way, because you've waited for this right person, and so you're going to get into the trenches and figure out how to actually know each other and be together long term. And if you just start dating at 12 and then flit from relationship to relationship, it seems less precious somehow.
Yeah, I mean, you're 15, so I'm guessing you're a sophomore in high school, maybe freshman or junior. I would say it's really not important. It's really not an important thing for you to date. I mean, I'm a senior in high school right now, and I'm not dating. So you just got to stay focused on your life goals. Realize that you can always be in a relationship. You can be in a relationship later. That doesn't really change. You just got to focus on what you want to be, because what you want to be, that can kind of change. Like, how you're going to achieve that goal can be difficult if you're not too focused on that. Whereas getting a relationship, I mean, you can always find someone later on once you've gotten your goals reached, or when you're higher in that process.
I would also say just don't let peer pressure affect you too much. Not that because everybody's having relationships so early nowadays, everybody's having sex so early nowadays that you need to experience all of that. You need to have what everybody else is having. I think when you look into history, the most brilliant people, they normally don't do things that people around them are doing. And the best relationships that I've witnessed in my life happens later in people's lives.
Right, because what happens is you have a chance to build up the skeletal and the structure, of the muscle tone and everything else of your personality is strong in other areas, because an emotional or a relationship is very emotionally heavy, and so in order to sustain it, it needs like a strong mind, strong character, strong spirit, strong sense of self. And then there's like more balance and more stability within everything. Go ahead, Jabbar.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, because by the time I was ready to date and start talking to girls and stuff, I knew exactly who I was as a person and what I wanted in a relationship. Well, not technically even wanted, of what I expected in a relationship. And I think it was all because I knew my self-worth. I knew what the type of person I am, and it was all the experience, and I think I grew myself up to the point of where I wanted to start dating.
Yeah, and then someone's dating the actual you, and not the little kind of cocooning kind of still, what's it called when you're still a baby?
A little cub.
The puppy version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say just be with your friends, focus on hanging out with them instead, and because friends are the best way to just get your mind off stuff like this. Be with your friends and focus on career, and you're good.
I was going to say larva, but it's good that I didn't, because that word is kind of gross.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Who else wants to read the next question?
I can.
Shinwa.
Okay. Some guy met at the park, kissed me. Woo. And I kissed back, but it was just a little kiss and I felt pressured. Do you think that's cheating on my boyfriend? Wow. I didn't want to kiss them at all. I was just scared.
I love your commentary as you read it. I really appreciated that.
That was really effective.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Any thoughts?
I mean, you felt pressured, so I guess you're not. I mean, if you still like your boyfriend, and you said you're pressured, so I can't say you were cheating on him because you felt that was the right thing to do at the moment. But like, I don't know, why would you kiss him back? Why would you kiss a stranger back in the first place? That's like my question right there. Like, I don't know why that would pressure you to do that in the first place.
That's totally cheating, girl.
I think it's
That's
cheating too.
cheating because
For doing
one-
a quick poll, I think it's cheating.
Yeah.
Do you think
Right.
it's cheating?
Yeah, absolutely.
Shinwa, do you think
How does
it's
the quick
cheating?
pull work?
We just, quickly say.
It's,
Right,
I
and
don't.
I-
I mean, poor girl. I mean, I don't want to say anything. Poor girl. Like, you don't have to feel pressured about. Like, I just feel like, okay, so she's a girl, right?
Yeah.
The fact that did she think that she was pressured to kiss back? That she was uncomfortable, but she felt scared and she needs to kiss back, and that's problematic. Instead of judging the girl right away, we need to know what's going on there.
It could have just been sort of a reflexive movement because he was leaning in and kissing her and she didn't find him repulsive. But does she need to tell her boyfriend?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
And
It's
the thing is,
because you shouldn't be reflexive in the first place.
Yeah.
Really, if you really like your boyfriend, then why would you reflex? Like any other reflex, even if you weren't dating, would just be to run out of there, and it's like you kissed back.
At every
And-
age beyond 16, let's say. But sometimes when you're this young, you just kind of get caught up in a moment and you don't really know the consequences until it's happened, and now you have to deal with it. Julie.
Yeah, but like maybe you need to tell your boyfriend that.
You should tell.
And just because clearly like there's an issue, like something happened here, so whether or not you like were into it or it was more, I mean, I don't really know. It's such an intimate thing when you kiss somebody, so I don't know how you kind of just like fall into it, kind of,
And
you
that
know?
could potentially turn into something else. Like you start falling for this guy, and now your boyfriend's like, who is this guy that automatically just popped up into your life that I never knew about?
And somebody else might tell him. So
And
like
the other
maybe
thing is
you
you
should
sort of-
tell him so that you can just kind of explain yourself and like where you're at and that it didn't mean anything and that you did feel pressured, so that if he hears about it from somebody else, it's not like, wait a minute, so you kissed someone in a park and you didn't tell me.
But you sort of have to begin, you have to be within target range, correct?
What
so
do you
that,
mean?
It's a little problematic for me that he was within kissing distance in the first place. So I
Right.
guess you guys are right. Okay, Aaron.
All right, so I'm just going to say this real quick. I'm not even supposed to be in this chair. I just want to make it very clear that I'm speaking to you, the person who wrote this in. You felt pressured. I'm reading what you said. You felt pressured. You felt scared. I'm going to not even go out on a limb. I'm just going to read back what you said. Pressured, scared, felt encouraged to kiss back, didn't really feel like you had another option. To me, that doesn't really sound like something that you did. It sounds like something that happened to you. I think that probably what they're saying is true. You do want to not let other people hear about this from someone else. You know, like it happened. That's
park
okay. You
has
can talk
eyes.
about it. Right. You can talk about it. But like clearly this wasn't something you wanted to do, not something you planned on doing, not something it sounds like you want to do again. It's not something that you did. It's something that happened to you. You should not feel that you betrayed anybody. Rather, you were taken advantage of.
Well, can we just focus, Aaron, on the words "I felt pressured too"? Because girls do,
Yes.
even though we're not the stronger person, if it's a boy-girl thing, we're weaker in terms of physical strength, but we do have a lot more control over what happens to us than we sometimes give ourselves credit for.
No, I mean,
I think that girls in our society still was brought up to please
Okay.
people. Like we're told that saying no. At least I still feel the pressure that saying no from a girl's point of view. You have to be really strong. You have to actually make decision to say no. It's super hard to say no. It's hard to show any no. It's hard to reject people.
Right.
And girls were taught and nurtured to not reject.
Right. But so when it comes to the point where you're being romantic with other people, how do you muster the strength and the courage to go against what you've been taught?
I think that there's a real point to be made there, and I think that that's like something to talk about generally as like a cultural thing. I think that you do have a point, but I don't know if it applies to this situation. I think that this is pretty clear cut. She said stranger. She used the word stranger.
Hold on. Let me check my
some
notes.
guy.
The stranger,
Oh,
yeah,
some guy.
Some
Yeah,
guy I
some
met
guy.
at the park.
Okay, so some guy, like, that is pretty stranger danger like, that sounds like some guy. What do I do? Who are you? Like, that does not sound like someone you, like, had a conversation with and you were all buddy-buddy. Oh, whoops, our lips are touching. This sounds like, who are you? You're a creep, and now, okay, I guess I don't really have a choice because you're leaning in and I don't have any place to go because if I run, like, you're gonna, like, what, will you run after me? Will you like, I would not want to be her in that situation.
True.
I would feel trapped.
Well,
I
it
would
depends on
probably
if
do
it's
what she
really
did.
some guy she met at a park or if it's some guy who
I-
was with a group of friends who knew people
Wait,
that
but
know people.
But why are you reading into it when I'm just reading what she wrote, right? I'm saying what she's telling us
Because
based
we
on the
don't let
information.
some guy get within kissing range.
You're at a park.
this
It's a
is-
public place. There's people.
Yeah,
This
but I
also
think
is something I
you-
think she was truly scared of because she says I didn't want to kiss them at all. I
Right.
was just scared.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
this was
Okay.
This is she must be very young because, like you said, a lot of people in society are taught to say no to a lot of never say no.
Not say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
especially
if this was
girls.
like a Donald Trump, I have a tic tac and I'm coming in. If that was what happened, then yeah, it's not your fault. And I don't think she needs to tell her boyfriend because it would just upset him. He would want to go murder the guy, and it would just create this whole thing.
Well, can I say something?
Yes.
I think that I mostly support to tell your girlfriend, like to tell your boyfriend, because like I'd say don't feel guilty for betraying him or cheating on him because it doesn't sound like you are. It sounds like you are taking advantage of. But I'd say telling your boyfriend first because you don't want other people to tell him. You don't want him to know from other other resources. And also you want to seek for support. And if you're in a good relationship, your boyfriend is going to be the person who supports you.
I would hope so, but if he's 15, he may not have that sort of maturity just yet. He may just feel violated that because boys are territorial, and you're his girl, and some dude kissed you, so he's going to feel all kinds of rage. Isn't that how boys feel?
I mean, okay, so first off, yes. Second off, too bad for him. I mean, like, this is not his problem. This is her problem, and she needs to find some way to deal with it, right? And if that means that telling him, regardless of if he takes it well or not, is the solution, then that's what she should do. And if he can't deal with that, then what is she worried about anyway? He's not ready to deal with the
All right.
complications of a relationship.
So then the question is, if you're going to classify this or categorize this as assault,
Yes, easily.
then you need to use those words when you describe the incident to your boyfriend. I was assaulted.
I was taken advantage of. I was assaulted, etc., etc. I was scared. I was trapped.
And you should
These
probably
are
tell
all
your
true
parents.
things.
Yeah.
Because there's some
Well,
creepy
it's
guy walking
assault,
around the
yeah.
park. Yeah.
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 Yes.
And
Oh, tell your parents, please.
about the kissing range they were talking about. Sometimes I feel like teenage boys can get this. I don't know how old is the guy who kissed you in the
Right.
park.
We just don't have enough information.
But it's just I mean it happened to me too. Like sometimes, okay, one time I was in a car with a guy was giving him a lift to the metro station, and I was looking at him. I was talking about something. At the end of my conversation, I was looking at him to waiting for a response, and he came on to kiss me.
That happened to me too.
It's sometimes
Really?
Guys think
Really?
that a ride somewhere is sort of an invitation to make out.
and the fact that a girl is looking right into your eyes is encouraging you to kiss.
Because it's like sitting on a couch. You're in the car right next to each other. And that was
Uh-huh.
just like, what just happened? Is that your tongue? Because I didn't, I wasn't, we weren't dating. It was simply a ride.
Well, this all goes back to the source of parenting. Parents, teach your sons to keep their hands off these women. This is not
Yeah.
just a free-for-all.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Read the room,
Boundaries.
know whether or not, an advance is welcome or your relationship has risen to that level of intimacy. So, yeah, I think she should tell the truth about what happened, especially if we're categorizing it as completely unwanted, in which case it shouldn't disrupt your relationship if your guy is loving and caring. All right, Vedavit, would you read the next question?
Sure. I'm a guy and my best friend is a girl, and I have fallen in love with her. She doesn't love me the same way, and I've known this for a long time, but I can't forget about it or move on from her. We have known each other for about 6 years now, and we are really close. We talk a lot, and we help each other with our problems. I love her for who she is, and she keeps trying to be someone that other guys will like. I just don't know what to do anymore.
This is so typical, this situation. Go ahead, Jabbar.
You can go.
Oh, you can go.
Oh, so- okay.
I
Okay,
don't have
cool.
to go.
Me, this relates to me so much because I moved from when I was in elementary school to middle school in the beginning of my freshman year. I had a best friend, and I moved away, and I said, yeah, we're going to keep in communication. I moved about 40 minutes away or so, and we're going to keep in communication. Mind you, this is a best friend. We went to, middle school prom together, all this stuff. And, of course, we lost contact with each other. And I wanted to keep friendship with her because I didn't want anything to be like, if we saw each other again, I didn't want anything to be off. So it's really not even about chasing her or chasing him, whatever, the best friend situation is, but it's also about do you, and then if you guys are really true friends, that won't matter if you guys weren't talking for such a long time. You guys will always be friends when you see each other again,
But he wants more than friendship.
That is
That's
true.
so hard, though.
Mhm.
This happened to some of my friends, and he was debating whether or not to tell her. It was like a huge thing, and because he didn't want to risk the friendship, and that's always what's hard. And I think that it's a very personal decision that you have to make, that if it's eating you alive and you feel like you have to say something and that the feelings might be reciprocated, then maybe it's worth the risk. But otherwise, if you have a great friendship with somebody, value that so much. And I feel like it's one of those things where if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, but you guys are so young that a great friendship is maybe worth more than a relationship. Shinwa.
Well, I think love is love. Romantic love, friendly love. Love is love. You apparently care about this girl a lot, and that she's kind of like you described. She's trying to be someone else that other guys want her to become, and she's kind of confused. As a friend that you want to be on her side, you want to be next to her to help her out on a lot of issues. I think she's going to appreciate your love. I think that she's perhaps already feeling your love. But then the thing about breaking the friend zone, though, is a tricky thing. I don't know. I mean, personally, I am always very expressive about my feelings, and I would always choose to tell the person straightforwardly, because in the end, the friendship and all of the love that it's between the two of you, but the fact that you want to be with her in a romantic way, that at this stage, let's say it's mostly about you and it's something that you really want to do, you need to ask yourself that if you really need to make that confrontation, if you really need to make that confrontation to yourself.
I'd say from the fact that she's trying to be someone else, I'd say you should tell her that she doesn't need to be someone else, that she's great how she is. You don't really have to tell her how you feel about liking her, maybe, if you feel like that might affect, or you could, but you'd have to realize that you'd have to accept that she just wants to be friends. So you can tell her how you feel, but you'd have to be like, hey, I like you, but I'm okay with being your friend, stuff like that. And you should just, I think the more important part is to tell her that not to act like someone else, and to let her know to be herself and that you like her for that.
I'm sorry. I answered the next question we have. For my first response, I read it over again, and I just want to say I still relate to this a lot because I was in love with my best friend when we were
Is it
young.
the same girl?
Same girl. I was in love with her.
That's how you got him
And
confused.
yeah, and she was dating a lot of guys that were, cool with, I was really cool with and stuff, and I always wanted to be with her, but I hinted at some times and stuff, but of course she wasn't into it right then and there. But to this day, we recently had a conversation, and now she's so into me and wants
Wow.
to be with me, and I think it just came with maturity and us just splitting apart for a little while, getting to know ourselves and going to school, and me just being on my own path, her being on our own path. And then when we see each other, it's always like a cool thing.
So these things are very fluid, and I know what it feels like to think that, well, I love everything about this person, and she's just trying so hard to manipulate herself into the type of person that other guys are attracted to when I'm the one who loves the true her. And the thing that you have to keep in mind is that there is no controlling romantic love, and scientists have studied it, and there's just no way to determine what causes the difference between just love and romantic love. And you could grow into it where she'll be romantically attracted, but you cannot force it. Shinwa.
And you never know. You never know if maybe she is into you, but she just doesn't want to admit it at this stage. And that, I think that knowing that you're into her and for who she is, you love her at her own skin, that might help her to boost like this girl's self-esteem.
Yeah, compliment her.
Compliment her, yeah.
Yeah, don't worry if she doesn't like you right now. Feelings a lot of times change about how you feel about one person or another, and it's just like, sometimes you might be over her later, and you might like someone else. She might like you later, and it's just gonna happen. You can't really worry about this too much. Just
I think the
focus
movie
on
Lucas helps everybody feel better about this type of situation because, she's in love with Charlie Sheen, and we know how things turned out for him. So she should have gone with Lucas, right? Has anyone seen Lucas? All right.
Kind of sounds like
Watch
kind of
Lucas.
sounds like Forrest Gump for me. Forrest
No,
Gump.
Lucas
Forrest
is
Gump.
nothing like Forrest Gump. Lucas is a metaphor for life. Okay? we all grow into ourselves eventually, and we all have wonderful
Oh, yeah.
qualities. And you can't, sometimes you just cannot really analyze or understand why someone likes someone romantically and likes someone else like a brother. There just isn't an explanation, and it doesn't even have to be with someone being better looking or the things that you think it's about. It's these undefined qualities that kind of either strike the romantic place in our heart or not.
It's almost like a casting director. It's
Right.
sometimes it's
Yeah.
not about your looks or not about. It's like it's
could be
little anything.
anything really.
Yeah, you would never know.
Sometimes they like the conversation you're having.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is just your looks. Sometimes it
Mhm.
is your acting. And it's just there's so many things that just comes up, and one thing comes.
And
Oh,
it could
yeah.
be something even just really subliminal, like something about you reminds them of their brother or their dad
Yeah.
or, something that feels like home in some certain way.
And sometimes they just like the way you just match. Like it's the writer is just like, wow, this is how I imagine the person, and you're like that person. It's like
Right.
the writer. It's just a writer being himself. He's just trying to see his own imagination in life, and it's like, whoa, you fit it.
Yeah. And you walked. All right. Megan writes, I just recently moved schools, and my friend said that she would talk to me every day. I knew she wouldn't talk to me every day because we are in high school and we get very busy. But when I do try to talk to her, she will either answer me with one word and then says she has to go, or she will completely ignore me. I just don't know what to do. I don't want to lose my best friend. Go ahead.
I've like I've said before in other episodes, I've moved high schools every year, and before that I've moved a couple times too, and it's just like usually a lot of friends that I've from previous schools I usually don't keep, like I try to keep in contact, but yeah, you try talking to them, they ask how are you for that day you're gone, and then after that they don't really talk to you, and it's kind of weird. They don't really want to be that they don't really want to keep a conversation going, and I just say right now all you can do is just find friends in your new school and just make new friends and keep that going, it does suck that your best friend won't talk to you, but I mean for my high schools, right now I'm in 12th and I'm not really talking to anyone in my 9th and 10th grade schools. My 11th grade school I do have like a few friends I talk to, but then it's just, in general it's like sometimes some friends just don't like the fact that you're not there with them and they just can't handle that, and since they're too focused on the friends that they have already because in their school.
Yeah, well, what happens is when you're the one who moves, everything for you has changed.
Yes.
And so you want that familiar face.
Mhm.
Everything for them except you has stayed the same.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah,
So
that makes
true.
it really hard for them. Go ahead, Julie.
So I can relate to this a lot on a college level because we all kind of, my friends group went all across the country, and then, some people were talking more than others, and people were getting annoyed with other people because they wouldn't talk enough. And so my best advice is call your friends and ask how they're doing and just kind of keep regularly checking in, because I think a lot of the time you expect, because you're the one who moved, that the other person's going to call you all the time. And if that's what you need, you should kind of project that. Like you should call and make it a happy conversation. Like don't get mad at your friends for not, because it's going to make them not want to call you.
Right.
So I think just call and be like, how's everything going? And kind
Fill
of
me
check
in.
in.
Yeah.
In a happy, positive way is going to want to make them call you and keep you updated and find out about you, like what's going on in your life.
That's also a great thing about social media, just always
Yeah.
keeping up and seeing what other people are doing.
FaceTime even
yeah,
too.
Yeah, and I mean with me, I'm a Sagittarius, so I don't care about anyone's feelings really. I'm so insensitive. But I just always did me. I'm like, all right, cool. If you don't, I'd see your feelings towards me. If you don't want to keep in contact, cool. I'm gonna do me. But I know eventually you will want to talk to me again, because I'm going to be on this high streak of doing whatever I wanted to do when I told you back in the day that I was going to do it. Now you see me doing it, then you're going to want to come back in my life.
That's a great attitude.
Yeah, I totally agree with what he said. It's just like, don't care too much that she doesn't want to talk to you. Try to make an attempt and try to let her, tell her about your new school, stuff like that. But I mean, if she doesn't want to talk to you or doesn't want to talk on a daily basis, then you can't really control that. Like we said before, like the situation is different for you because you moved. But for them, everything except you is different, and that's something I've realized, like moving every time. It's just like people act like it's a big difference, all of that, but they're still moving on with their daily lives, and it's just only your life has changed, and you got to kind of realize that, make new friends, adjust to that new environment, and it'll be pretty good if you can just do that.
Shimwa?
Well, I want to say it. I want to talk about some of my own experience. It's really similar. So a friend of mine, she is currently in Italy. And actually today, she sent me a message, because earlier she would send me a lot of random pictures, and she sent me really, really long paragraphs that talks about her own existential crisis, and even longer list about her future, like ton of her future plans, and let me pick the best 3, like the worst 3 out of them. And she said, and I read all of that. It took me a long time, but I look at all of them. I might not write an entire 5 paragraphs to her, replay back, but I read all of that. I care about her. I talk to her when I have time. I call her. And then today she sent me a message. She's asking, I hope you don't mind receiving random pictures from me now and then. And I said, of course I don't. I love you, and I hope you don't mind me responding late at times, because I love her. She's my friend, but I've got my own life. It's not because I've, that we're separated physically that I love her less, that or I care about her less. It's just that at one point I have other things that I have to take care of, and also there's less things that you're actually sharing now.
Right.
You have to accept that.
And what you described is managing your expectations. It's saying, I love you, and here's what you can expect from me moving forward, because our lives have gone kind of in separate directions. And that sounds like a really good solution that you came to.
Yeah.
Bit of it.
And sorry. No, it's just another story. I've also been your end as well, being the one who's waiting for the response from a friend. Actually, it's the other one of my best friends. She was actually my former roommate when I was in Iowa City. I just recently moved to LA, and it kind of broke my heart a little bit because all of my friends are constantly sending me messages. How's LA? But she's not really sending me a lot of things. But then back a month ago, she sent me a really beautiful message saying that it is rainstorm right now in Iowa City, and she went out to take a rain shower. She's running outside in the rain, and she thought about me that nobody else except me would do that with her.
Aww.
That's
so
that's
sweet.
what
Wow.
friendship is. It's not
Yeah.
saying I love you every day.
Yes.
It's that you have this unique moments
Memories.
that she would think about nobody else but you.
Mm-hmm.
That's so sweet.
That is really nice.
If it helps you, if this helps, I hope at least that if when you go to college, this will be much easier because a lot of people when they graduate high school, from what I've seen and heard, it's just like a lot of people just start crying and everything like that, and they get emotionally teared up from the fact that they're the best friends that they've had since kindergarten or something like that, or they're really upset because they're going to be moving off to college and stuff like that. But you'll be used to it now. You're already used to this process of moving. You're one step closer to being used to it, and then when you do go to college, it'll probably be a little better off because it seems like when people go into college, like they tend to have more connect. It's different for everyone.
Everyone's
like
new.
yeah, everyone's new. So the good thing is that you can actually you can retain your friendships then. It's easier then because like you said, everyone's new. Because like I know for last year the school that I moved from, a lot of my friends graduated there, and we're in close contact right now. I'm about to hang out soon.
Oh, that's good.
So it's so it seems once you go to college, it's it'll be easier.
And also, whenever you see a door closing, ask yourself, where's the window? Because this is kind of the universe sort of nudging you towards getting yourself better plugged in with your new environment and making some new friends that are waiting to know you. So make sure that you do that. I'm a 15-year-old guy, and I sometimes try to compare myself with other guys I see in the showers or locker room. I like a girl a bit. When I look at guys, I am just trying to see if I am average. Is that normal? I think probably.
I would assume so.
But, being gay is normal too. So
It's all
we don't
normal.
need to really put any labels on any of this. But if you're wondering, are you straight or gay? I'm just going to let you guys answer the question.
I don't think that. I mean, maybe that's what he's asking, but I
I think that's what
he's
he was
asking if it's normal to try and figure. Well, I guess not.
Well, because he
I
was
don't
saying
know.
I like a girl a bit, and he was trying to say that there was more in this, and it was about him.
Oh, okay. So it is
masturbating, and so I didn't want to put in too much, but yeah.
It says that he's trying to compare himself to other guys. I think he's trying to see whose competition might be with girls. I don't know.
No, he was really talking about penis size in his initial letter. I just kind of cut that out, but I don't know why, since I was willing to say it out loud. Yeah, no, he's asking if it's normal for boys that age to look at other boys in the shower, look at their penises, and wonder how
15. I think 15 is quite a little bit older to start comparing. Just start comparing. In when I was younger, probably I used to go online or something and be like, why does mine look like that? And I don't know if yours do. So I would do that. But when I was smaller, 15, I don't know. People grow differently. I don't know.
Well, we only have 2 boys here, unless Aaron's willing to tell us, but because the girls are just like, I don't know. Because we don't, I guess you could compare it to boob size in the locker room. I'm sure when we were 13, we were wondering
But I also,
if we were the right size or average or.
But I think girls are also a lot, I think guys are so quick to want to be like, I'm not gay, or it's not, and girls I think are a little bit more okay with being naked with other girls around, you know what I mean? I think that girls are a little bit more comfortable with looking at other girls' bodies or talking about things than with guys and other
that's
guys.
A society thing, that double
No, for
standard
sure.
thing.
Yeah. No, it's
I
totally
don't-
a society thing.
I just don't think that we ever were told that could make you gay.
right.
And you kind of know why you're looking at someone's boobs. You're either looking at them to wonder if they're bigger than yours, or you're looking at them in
You're
a way that
lusting.
makes you kind of excited. So we kind of easily know the difference without fearing.
Right.
Yeah, there is a societal difference in terms of expectations. Go ahead, Aaron.
Because the other guys aren't really talking. Yeah. So yeah, it's normal. Guys comparing themselves, especially when they're younger guys, is kind of what I'm getting at, right? If you're younger and you're well, I'm growing, and generally speaking, I'm growing, and am I up to snuff? Am I standard? so to speak. And those are thoughts that basically, most guys have as they grow up. And, whether it's you go online or like if you are at school, probably there are like opportunities at the gym to, look around you. And that just every guy's doing it. Like it's a thing that happens. Now, there's stuff that was missing from the question, so I can't speak to that about, you said gay? Worrying
I
about
think
being
he
gay?
wanted to know, when he says the word normal, he's really asking, am I straight?
Okay, well, then do I know if you're straight? No. Do I know that straight guys do this? Yes. So you could be. Like,
That's a good answer.
yeah, it's fine.
Julie.
No, I think we've also talked a lot about the significance of labels and how they can be great to kind of help you characterize yourself or explain to other people, but I think sometimes there's pressure to fit into a certain label, and so don't freak yourself out if you don't know the answer to the question. If you don't know if this is just something that if you're attracted to guys, or if you're just kind of figuring out maybe you're a bi, like I don't think that you have to be so quick to be like, oh, do I need to like figure out what's going on? Just like kind of let it be.
I think we're all sort of curious about ourselves, our own bodies, and how our body compares to the bodies of other people. So with breast size, you can see that through clothing, but with penis size, you really can't. So, if you are in a locker and there's a bunch of people walking around, you may see a man in a locker room if you're in like a YMCA or whatever, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that looks completely different from mine. Well, at 15, you may not even be close to being finished maturing, like not even close. So I would say don't worry about it. And also, this is not the definition of what would make you gay or straight at all. Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, first of all, comparing yourself, even if you're a girl or you're a guy, whatever, like to someone else's body is not very fair because, like, also, like, just quick note, bras lie. I mean, like, yeah, like,
very true.
right. So, like, you can't just assume that someone, is necessarily what they appear to be. Not that that's a judgment. Like, just some people wear clothes that make them look different, than if they were naked. And that's
Bras are pathological.
and it's okay, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just, it goes to show, right? Maybe it's a bit of a snap comparison if you're saying, oh, how they look is how they look, and now I look differently, and that makes me feel, better or worse. Like, you don't really know. And second off, continuing on from there, like, definitely, absolutely, especially because you're growing, like Weezy was saying, like, it's not fair to say, oh, well, all these guys are this way, or I'm that way, and that's different, or that's not the same. And also, let me tell you that even when people are fully grown, there's still so much variance and still so much difference between human bodies that, like, you don't really, if you want an actual answer to, like, what is quote-unquote normal or average, like, don't go looking at other people, go looking into medical texts, speak to a doctor. Like, that's how you get numbers that are the truth or close to the truth. But that even then doesn't mean that that's a measure of who you are, right?
Genetics play a big part in that as well. I mean, I don't know if you want to go ask your dad how big his penis was when you were his age, but like
That's going to be an awkward conversation.
That would be. That would.
Maybe over tea.
Yeah.
Over tea.
But I just from the female perspective, like I don't think we care that much. I don't think we care as much about it as guys think we do, or as much as guys care about it.
That's a good thing.
That's
because,
such a good thing.
We just don't care that much about it. Am I right, ladies?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And
it's
that's
like,
good for a guy to know, a young guy to know. Like, we don't really care about that because
No.
at 15, you're a little young to have sex and start doing intimate stuff like that.
So Elaine Boozler, a comedian, had this line. Her line was like, "Is it attached to you? That's really all we care about." Yeah. So let's not overhype this. It's really not that big of a thing. Pardon that pun, but yeah, I just. I don't know. I think it's like people come in all different sizes, and I just don't want you worrying too much about this.
Yeah, don't worry about this. I mean, a lot of guys kind of like talk about this type of stuff, saying that a big this will help them get more girls, something like that. And it's like,
Not
no,
at
I mean,
all.
it's just all
Not at
talk. First of
all.
all, a lot of these guys are just full of talk, and they're just trying to like make themselves look cool.
But also,
Probably
how would you
securities
know? How would a girl know? Like, if I have a
how
big.
do you? I never got
Unless
that. Like,
they're
how do you just tell them. You straight up just tell them, hey, I.
Yeah.
Doesn't
like,
make sense.
The girl has to like you enough to want to see it.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of work that needs to get done before any of that's
And
going to be
if
happening.
not, then you're falling for the wrong girls for sure. If someone falls that easily, just say, if you can just say that, and you can just they fall for you that easily just by saying that, then that's definitely not the right.
It's not the right girl anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although,
Yeah.
I will say, I know some people who, when they were in high school in the early years, there was one guy who was notorious for going around, basically just saying to everyone who would listen to him, "Hey, I've got a 12-inch schlong. Why don't you take a look at it?" And guys and girls did, and apparently he wasn't lying, and it was quite frightening.
Oh
God.
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
Wow.
So if it's outlandish enough, people might stop and look, but it's not for the reasons you want them to.
Is it okay that I really hate him and I haven't met him?
See, I would hate him, but that is so audacious and so non-sexual that I can't really hate him.
It was more sad than hateful.
Jason?
All right. Here's a question. Whenever someone tells me to be myself, I have no idea how. It's hard to be yourself when you don't know who you are yet. Do you have any tips on how to find yourself?
Meditate.
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 Meditate?
Yeah.
Meditate.
both hands
Find
up.
yourself.
Meditate.
Meditate.
I mean, I think you just like do the things that you are drawn to and the things that you want to do. And I think from there, from trial and error, you kind of evolve into a person. Like, I think it just takes time and maturity, and you have to go through some things, and then you kind of develop a little bit more of like who you are.
Also, there's no any given moment where you're exactly yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, it's kind of hard to put that sort of pressure on yourself, because even still, I'll hear myself saying something and I'll be like, is this me talking? Are these words coming out of me? Like, it's like, you know, sometimes you just don't feel like you're being your authentic self. And because the words haven't come to you that would represent your authentic self. And so it's always a work in progress. And so don't just feel that all of a sudden just magically you're supposed to fully understand yourself. The whole thing is just a journey.
Yeah, it's not something that just magically comes to you. You just gotta just say what you feel like you're saying, do what you would normally do, and it's just like, so you know, sometimes it just changes around. Like, sometimes I'm just a pretty happy person in general. Sometimes I'm pretty mad about something happening. Sometimes I'm pretty pessimistic when something I know is bound to fail, and sometimes I'm pretty optimistic about stuff that's gonna happen. It's just, you just kind of gotta find that, and like whatever you find yourself, whatever emotion you most associate with, you see, then that's probably who you are. So for me, it's like I tend to be happy a lot, so I find myself as a happy person.
Meditate.
So what do you find through meditation?
For me,
How does that help you find yourself?
I think because meditation is the meditation that I got introduced to is a method of observing your own body, observing your own like how do you breathe, the air come in and out, and like to focus on your sensations. And I think that because the first equipment that we have when we were born in the world is our body. We've got nothing, no social knowledge, no nurturing. We've got our body, and that's initially, you know, what we are. And when we're in touch with our body, when we know that, oh, maybe I'm breathing heavily, maybe I'm a little dizzy today, maybe I need more sleep, maybe I need to get on better diet, and, you know, I feel better when I'm eating more healthy stuff. That, I think that would definitely helps more, even like at the mental level of our existence. I think it helps a lot more.
I just recently I started reading self-help books and things I want to learn more in life about, and I think that helped me a lot. I mean, recently I'm older now and I know myself a little bit more, but that helped me just reading. I think all the gems are in books now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's helpful for you?
Yeah,
Yes, a lot of helpful. I mean, you think about every successful rich person, they have all written a book and they tell their secrets in there, how they got there. So I'm like, I want to read that too and try to get to that level as well.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good advice.
You know, books on tape too are good to listen to while you're doing other
Podcasts.
things. Podcasts are great. You can look up the word self-help, and you're gonna find all kinds of wonderful materials.
TED Talks too.
TED Talks.
Love
Yes.
TED Talks.
Amazing. Yep. All right, we've got 2 questions left. Which of these would you guys like to address? Make sure we have enough time for your favorite.
The last one.
The last one? Go ahead and read it.
Okay. Am I still a lesbian? If I've been in love with a guy in the past, but no longer desire to be with a guy, is it also possible to be a lesbian who has had a guy be an exception? It wasn't miserable being with a guy, but wasn't ideal. I didn't really understand why people were so crazy about it, although there were happy times with being a guy. After all, he was a really great guy with him being sweet and caring and good company. But I still didn't feel happily fulfilled or incredibly happy, can I still call myself a lesbian then?
Stop with the titling of things.
Mhm.
I hate it. I hate the titling of just labeling about yourself. Stop putting labels on yourself and other people. With, like I said it last time I was on the show, that when I was in school, I used to always dress to the nines, and people called me gay all the time. Deep down in my heart, I knew I wasn't gay. I love girls, but people still put that on me. But I still love dressing. I don't care how many people have told me anything. And I think with this situation is dealing with being gay. You like girls, you like guys. Simple. It doesn't need to get that much deeper.
Yeah, there's no reason for labels at all. It's just there's no point in having them in general, because how you feel is how you feel. You know, if you really do you like a girl and look at him, or are you just basing off the fact that you just don't like how it ended with the guy? Because just because you don't like how it ended with the guy doesn't mean that you're lesbian. Because that just might be like a one-time scenario. You know, you can't base it off this one guy and being hurt from this one guy and then feeling like you can never date a guy again. But then, you know, you might be a lesbian, you might like girls, but that's up to
I think
you.
she likes girls. I think that it's still, in terms of society, it's easier to be straight. And so I think that she dated a guy, he was okay, and she dated him and she liked him. If this were 1950, you would have married him, and that would have been that. And all of your crushes on girls, you would have just had to keep them under your lid. But now, I feel like you mostly like girls, which defines you as a lesbian. But like as Jabbar was saying, it doesn't matter what the title is. If you want to date a girl, date a girl. Julie.
No, I think that absolutely. Like, I have a friend who mostly dates guys. She considers herself bi, mostly dates guys, but she did have a relationship with a girl, and still, you know, she says, like, if I broke up with my boyfriends, like, I don't know if I would be with another girl or guy. It just depends. And I think that it's such a spectrum. You know, there's tons of people who, you know, will be with guys their whole life and then will decide that they want to be with a girl. Like, it just doesn't really matter. And I think the stress of it is really what is kind of crazy for people to try and figure out. And I think once you realize that, like, it doesn't really matter, that people can be in love with all types of people, and like, that's what is going to kind of calm you down and allow you to really figure out who you want to be with next, instead of like what the title actually is.
Right. Siobhan.
I also feel like there's a lot of community pressure, like with the you know, sometimes LGBT community. Like when I was in college, I heard people, like lesbian people who identify themselves in the lesbian circle, saying that I hate bisexual women. I think bisexual women are all sluts, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I can understand, like, a lot of teenagers will want to categorize themselves as fast as possible, say, like, and be faithful to their labels. Like, I'm a lesbian, I only like girls. I'm a gay, I only like men. Like, you know, I'm straight. Like, I'm straight.
So it's like rooting for a team. Like, you can't like the White Sox and the Cubs.
Pick
a team.
Yeah, Trump, Hillary, Trump.
But Hillary.
Yeah, I mean, there's no label you need to put on yourself. Who you like is who you like. It's the 21st century, and we're becoming, and in our society, we're more and more accepting right now, and I doubt that would reverse. I doubt that would go the other way around. So you're good to be whatever you want, and just don't worry about the label. It doesn't matter what they ask you. You don't have to have an answer for that. You can lesbian. You want to call yourself lesbian? Call yourself lesbian. If you want to call yourself bi, you want to call yourself straight, doesn't matter. Just go for who you want to go.
And I think experiencing your own sexuality is a journey. It's just as much a journey as, like, finding out who you are. What is myself?
Okay.
You never know who's going to be the next person that you love. You're never gonna know where your specific desire comes from. Where, as human beings, we're so complicated. So your experience or relationship with one guy or one girl is not going to make a decision about who you are.
Does anyone want to have some, those are all really good thoughts. Does anyone want to have some final thoughts on this historical evening of election night, November 8th, 2016?
So important.
I wonder what's going on Twitter. Now we're being off Twitter, and updates scares me because I don't know what can be going on right now. But yeah, I go Hillary. I'm just going to say it out loud and proud.
So with her. I am so with her.
We're with her.
Yes.
We're with you, Hillary.
Yes.
All right, let's go check some election results. And This has been our finest show ever. Thank you, panelists, for
Thank
being here.
you.
Thank you.
I appreciate everyone being here on such a nervous evening as election night. Let's go make sure that our vote counted. And we are Journals Out Loud on the Journals Network. And we will see you next week.